randoms keep getting jobs. Don't worry about it. I'ma say, I can't wait to say it. I love it. I love it. Go.
Happy Tuesday, everybody, and welcome to the NotBland Show. I'm your host, Dujane Bland. And of course, you already know Sports Journey presents this along with Everything Nitro, but we are sponsored by Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. I've been telling y'all for weeks on weeks on weeks, support the sponsor. I hear you. I don't know anything about drag racing. You don't need to know anything. All you need to know how to do is pick. And you win free prizes. Where they do that at? Come on, man. The league code is in the ticker. Come on over. I'm getting my butt kicked by everybody else in the league. So you can come on and put your foot in my behind as well. It's been a blast. We are at the midway point of this season. It's been incredible. With the bracketology and the racing all coupled together, I think it's made for a very exciting season and a very exciting season for the fans. The participation has increased. The talk of drag racing has increased on social media. It's been a blast. But we're going to talk bracketology right now, and I'm telling you, we got a lot to talk about. First, I'm going to bring in the host of the Unlikely Motorsports Duo podcast. It is the one and only Kyra. What's going on?
Guys.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing great. I'm ready for all the chaos that is this show tonight.
Oh, man. It always seems to follow me around.
Oh, yeah. But I love chaos. And without further ado, you guys know who this man is.
Hey, Kyra, how you guys doing?
Hi.
Doing great, Elon. This is
my favorite Drag Race Bracket Bonanza people right here.
Man, it's been a blast, and what a season it's been. I can't believe we're in the middle of the regular season right now with 8 races. Like, it's been a whirlwind.
It's been one dumpster fire after another dumpster fire for me when it comes to picks.
Yeah.
And we've had, ups and downs on the track. We've had ups and downs with Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. It's just been wild, but it's so exciting to see more people getting involved. I dropped off a lot of plaques today for the Thunder Valley Nationals winners, and they went to everywhere, all across the country. I sent one to, we had a winner from the Route 66 Nationals from British Columbia.
Wow.
One of the guys that won this weekend is actually living in the Philippines right now and had me ship the package to his brother, and he's coming back to the States in about a month. And when I hear that, I just, like, my head just goes, like, there are people, I think it's cool people are thinking about drag racing all around the world. But that this cat at whatever time it was in the Philippines, 11 o'clock at night, is filling out his bracket, most likely, I think he won Pro Stock Motorcycle, so he was just all in on Gage Herrera. But yeah, it was nuts.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I'll start with Kyra on this one. What's been your strategy through 8 races on how you have chosen to pick drivers to get to your bracket, final bracket there? And I'm asking the audience as well that's watching. You can go ahead and put that in the comments. We'll throw it up.
Okay, I'm going to be real honest. I didn't start getting good at this until 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, you're doing pretty good right now.
I don't know what happened. I hit a stride because I had been living in the basement I don't know what happened, but I'm so bad at this. Every time I talk about it, I'm like finishing last and I don't know what's happening. I'm like accepting my fate. But I think the thing I started really noticing was I was paying more attention to who was winning Too Fast, Too Tasty. I was starting to see a little bit of a pattern. So that's kind of what I clicked into. And I was like, maybe. And it's working 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah. I mean, those guys that in the Too Fast, Too Tasty have been hot. And they seem to come into the races hot. What's been your strategy, Elon?
I have two. I pick all my clients.
Okay.
But then I also, luckily, I'm in about 6 different leagues. So I actually will copy my main bracket into a couple leagues. But like in your league and in WFO Radio and Competition Plus, since I'm so desperate and so shallow that I really do want to win, you honestly trying to look at runs historic, like this weekend. I knew that some of the guys that ran good on Saturday may not have as good a chance on Sunday because of the weather change.
Right.
So I did, some of the guys that, it was crazy. Some of the people on the bottom of the ladder that you just knew, okay, when the weather's going to come to them a little bit.
Yeah.
JR Todd, Brittany, I got bamboozled by Justin Ashley.
Yeah, me too. He had one job.
That was one of the picks that was one of our biggest bracket busters. And it's funny to see that basically Justin losing annihilated about 80% of the top fuel brackets.
Yeah,
now,
it was awful.
Austin Prock, everyone talks about Gage Herrera, but Austin Prock is the most picked driver in Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. He's the hottest thing going right now. And it's funny because I mentioned it to him yesterday in the press room in Bristol. And then I sent him some of the stats and he was like, hell yeah.
Motivation, I tell you. I chose this week. I'm in the opposite. I was 13th in the world several weeks ago, and it's just been a free-for-all. I'm still in the top 50. Good thing this race doesn't count to the overall because it didn't help. The wife did do a good job, though. A lot of upsets. A lot of upsets this weekend. But she nailed it in top fuel. I was so excited. First pair out, Doug Foley gets the win. That was her pick over Tony Stewart. Like, it was starting off great. And first round was great. Second round, though, woo.
It gets a little shaky.
It got ugly.
Oh.
Brittany Force coming in and surprising everybody.
Yeah. And that has been a thing that a lot of people you've seen, like when we do the pie graphs, her passion point or her fandom has slowly been diminishing because she just hasn't been winning rounds. And people are like, right. I like Brittany, but she's not helping me out. And so she was pretty far down on people's picks. And then, she starts going rounds. And that's the beauty of being able to do this 19 times. Whereas, college basketball brackets, you got to wait a year. This you can kind of, bounce back. It's almost, I liken it to Drag Race Bracket Bonanza is more of a NASCAR race of brackets, where if you stub your toe a little bit, you have a chance to make up, in lap 200. Whereas college basketball brackets in spring, that's more like a drag race. If you blow it in the first round, like I did this year by picking Auburn to win the national championship, I finished 22.5 millionth place in the ESPN college basketball bracket. There were only 23 million people playing. My wife asked me, she goes, I don't understand how you can be such a big sports fan and so terrible at brackets universally.
Yeah, it's hard.
But
it's hard.
I have too much heart, not enough head sometimes.
Agreed. It's too many stats for me.
Yeah.
I pay attention to trends. I pay attention to round win-loss records. That's why I had to give it to my wife this weekend. Next week when we go, same thing. I'm giving it to her. I've got to get out of I've got to find another way. And in that meantime, I'm going to delegate the picks for the next 2 weeks until I can get my stuff together. What are some of the surprises, Kyra, that you've seen throughout this season as far as drivers we wouldn't expect to be going rounds, but doing it quite consistently?
I just feel like we're at a place in this sport where there's no longer really any like gimme rounds. Like anyone can win. Guys in the bottom of the ladder are like, it's going to be my day. It's Tuesday. It's my day. Like, I'm just going. Like in pro stock, you see the quadras have really come on strong. You see the single funny car entries that are really making a point to not just be like a flash in the pan.
Mm-hmm.
And I
Terry
think
Haddock.
exactly.
Yeah.
He's come a really long way. He's consistently running 390s, like,
Yeah,
and everybody loves it.
Yeah,
I know I do. I've been a guy that's been a huge supporter a long time to see Terry Haddock start to, get a level of consistency and be able to be a force within, the funny car ranks. And it's really cool to see them go out, do what they know how to do, and they don't put a whole lot of pressure on themselves. And I think that, like you said, it goes for a lot of these, lower funded teams.
Mm-hmm.
They go out and run what they know they can run. I mean, I love what Tony said at the end, in his winning interview about, the nostalgia of some of the older fans talking about how good it was in the 60s. And I'm going to tell you right now, you can go back and watch Diamond P 1990, 91, 92, 93, whatever you want, 89. It's like top 6 cars. You already know who's going to the semifinals and finals. And every blue moon, somebody lucks up because either somebody blew it up to where they destroyed their car, or simply just blew the tires off of it right at the hit of the throttle. Other than that, it's the same people over and over and over again. And I think we're at a time right now that I don't think that drag racing has ever been any better in every single class. There's no way, how you can go in and say, as a top driver, Austin Prock, for instance, and say, "Oh, I got this guy. I'm number 1 and he's 16. Oh, yeah, this is gonna be easy."
Yeah.
If you go up there and say it's gonna be easy, it's gonna be night for you.
Oh, absolutely. You really can't underestimate anyone anymore.
Yeah, and even number 1 qualifiers are, I would say vulnerable, because they get to, higher percentage chance they're going to win round 1, but then in round 2 they're going to get either the 8 or 9 car, and a lot of times that's just the difference between the number 1 and the number 8 qualifier in elapsed times, maybe 100th of a second or less. And it is, you got guys, Clay Milliken, you have, it's so funny. The Denzi's Deets that come out on Friday, we're starting to put more average elapsed times, average reaction times, average top speed, which helps, the top speed's becoming more critical than ever now.
Oh, yeah.
Because just this past weekend, we had 3 perfect pro stock brackets.
Wow.
So the top 3 were decided on tiebreaker. And, so we sent the plaque to the winner, and then we did hats to basically the guys that, because we just felt terrible that, you have a perfect bracket and, you lost on the tiebreaker. So they got official Drag Race Bracket Bonanza hats. But the unique thing is, in Funny Car, the overall Funny Car winner did not have a perfect bracket, but the guys that came in 2nd and 3rd place in Funny Car had perfect Funny Car brackets. And the way the guy got around him is he went heavy on J.R. Todd.
Oh.
And J.R. Todd was the number 12 qualifier.
Mm-hmm.
So this guy got bonus points. He basically threaded the needle of having a guy that he picked for upsets that won 2 rounds of racing and got those bonus points, and it got him around guys with perfect brackets, because you don't really get a lot of incentive with the way the brackets played out like that.
Yeah.
No, it was a wild thing to see.
So that's something I want to focus on there. J.R. Todd just so happened to be the guy who qualified a little bit lower than he normally would.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, where am I at here? Okay, he was 11th. So if you picking upsets, it doesn't always work, but you get extra points for picking upsets.
Yes. So if you can get a guy, let's say the number 15 qualifier can go on to win the race and beats the number 2 qualifier, you're going to be, even if the number 15 qualifier gets to the final and you've picked him to the final, you're going to be in good shape in the overall points for that category, because you're going to just cumulatively get those bonus points, because it basically almost doubles every round. So that's the key. And, we wanted to reward people for kind of taking those risks. But when we thought we were doing that, we would be having guys that would be picking more the Dave Richards, no offense to Dave Richards, or, Terry Haddock, or, some of the upstarts, the Sienna Wild Gust and Pro Stock. Yeah. But the class is so competitive. Your number 15 guy is, could be Matt Hagan, could be Brittany Force.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it was very telling to hear Dave Grubnick take the full ownership of how badly Brittany's been running, of like, it's not Brittany, it's me. I'm the one making the mistakes. I'm glad we're finally running well. And he's like after they won first round. I mean, that's how, critical and how crazy the category is in Top Fuel, where, realistically, now that you can actually gamble on NHRA, I would not, I cannot gamble as an NHRA person, but I'm out there, if gambling would have been around last year, and you would have put money on Doug Coletta right now, how would that have paid off for you? Man. Josh Hart is in that same position.
He is.
Mm-hmm.
They are, once they find it, that's a team that can do things. Same thing for guys like Dallas Glenn, or in Matt Smith and Pro Stock. I mean, it was funny in Bristol when Matt actually beat Gage Herrera in competition in the Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty race. That's the first time Gage Herrera's ever lost a heads-up drag race in 2 years.
Yeah, it's incredible.
He broke and he red lit last year.
Yeah, both on him. Yeah.
And Matt came in the press room on Saturday, and I was like, I gave him the full Rocky IV redo when Rocky's fighting Ivan Drago, and he finally cuts him, and they're in the corner. They're like, he's a man. He's not a machine. And I gave Matt Smith that same little speech, and then he went into the press room, and another media guy from Bristol did the same analogy. So that's the level of people, and that's where we're getting with the brackets is, like Kyra said, you're looking at stats. You're trying to look at Mission Too Fast, Too Tasty. Where do you can find an edge?
Yeah. I was looking this weekend. You're looking at Chase Van Zandt, who just came on out of nowhere. They've been there. They've been right around there. They're starting to click now. I thought that was incredible, and I think he's going to be a problem in the bracket. I think Richard Gaston is just around the corner.
Yeah.
We still haven't. No, Ellie wasn't out there this weekend, but that's a bike. Kelly's a bike. It is wild on that side of the ladder.
Yeah.
When you talk about Pro Stock Motorcycle, there's a toss up every weekend, and right now it used to be pick Gage all the way to the end, and you at least got one.
Right.
Now with Matt coming on and finding his groove now, it's making it real difficult. And look at Gianna getting to where she got to. I want to know who had that.
It wasn't me.
I did pick Gianna to go to the final, and I got actual street cred from the Vance and Hines guys because we were talking about it.
Yeah.
And it was Eddie Krawick and Richard Gadsden and Andrew were there. And I was like, I picked Gianna to go to the final. And they were like, BS. And I pulled up my Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, and it was all blood, except I had her. And they're like, what? How did you? And I go, man, I just got a good vibe from her at the autograph session on Saturday night. And, I just thought, she's feeling confident on the bike, and Matt's running good.
Yeah.
So all those bikes are kind of set up similar. And Richard Gadsden was like, all right, man, I can see where you're coming from. And I was also like, I told Gage right to his face, I go, dude, you're on a crazy run, but it cannot last forever. This is the first time I've not picked you.
Yeah.
Because I thought you were vulnerable, because I go, you lost in Bristol last year. I thought maybe Bristol's just one of those tracks where you don't win, that you're just bad luck tracks.
Right.
And also I take that into account when I do my picks too.
Mhm.
There's just some tracks that guys are just not good at.
Yeah, that is true.
And
it seems to show, almost every year. I think what the biggest issue is right now is that since the beginning, we've been dealing with adverse track conditions, and they're not the same. It ain't the same Friday night to Saturday. It's not the same. And then when you come in Sunday, all that qualifying stuff you did was, hey, that's cool and everything, but it's a whole new day now.
Yep.
You got to figure this track out.
Yep.
And I think that's what's also been helping a lot of the smaller teams. Now these big teams are like, all right, yeah, I think I can still push it here. And they go over the edge. I mean, how many times this year have we seen pro stock cars go into tire shake?
Yeah.
Greg
Just
Anderson
square the tires
in the final. Like, really?
Yeah. I mean, it happens to Erica, happened to Aaron Stanfield, happened to Greg. I mean, it just, and what I like is Bristol has bumps because of the tunnel and settling. You can see it. But to me, that makes it unique. It's just like a baseball stadium that has its quirks.
Yeah.
Everybody's got a race on it, and you got to figure it out. But that makes it even more exciting because it kind of levels the playing field of, big teams, small teams. Can you throw a lot of horsepower at it? What really gives the big teams advantage is data, because they can, if the weather changes dramatically, they can just go back and look in their books 7 years ago when it was 70 degrees. What do we do?
Yeah.
Yep.
Exactly.
But I'm curious, Kyra, how confident you are that you can continue this hot streak that you're on.
Oh, cautiously optimistic, but I also know myself and know this game and know drag racing, so I'm like, It's like I put my little water floaties on. I'm just like paddling along. Not trying to go for the rapids yet. We're fine.
No. Okay, so how long are you planning on sticking with the strategy that you have now?
I mean, I want to always kind of keep it in mind, but if anything different kind of comes up or changes, I think I'll just kind of try to go with it, because there is also a lot of credence to just kind of going with the vibes. Like, you can look at all the data, but sometimes you just got to go with whatever.
Yeah. I think that's my biggest issue is there's a lot of things that it's like, yeah, I see it, but I'm just like, nah, I'm going to go against the odds and I'm going to pick them. And the sure thing isn't the sure thing anymore. So,
and my biggest thing coming into this year that I've tried really hard to get away from was my biases, because you can't just pick the same three guys. It's just, so I'm trying to like break away from that. And I can't pick Ron Capps every week because he changed the chassis. His car was not running well. He's kind of trying to claw his way back. So that's also like a big thing for me, who's been in the sport for so long. Like, get away from the biases.
Yeah.
It's also hard for me not to pick Ron Capps. I mean, I picked Buddy because he's my guy, but I mean, I got look over my head here. That's Ron Capps right there. His gloves right there. Ron Capps Big Bud Shootout gloves. So I have, the jacket is Caps's Fall Nationals winners jacket that he gave me this year. So even
wow.
Caps knows my love for him. So he's my default guy, and I've never worked for him. So,
Yeah.
That's the hard thing for me is just my biases of, oh man, I really want this guy to win.
Yes.
I'm gonna try to will him through my bracket
Yep.
to the winners.
Yeah. I think that's true, especially as a media member. You get to know a lot of people. You build a lot of relationships with people. And sometimes you're like, you just gotta hunch. Like I've been on the Clay bandwagon for a while now.
Mhm.
I thought this weekend was going to be it. I did not, like I said, I did not pick Clay to go that far. It was the wife that did the picking. So we had him all the way till the semifinal at least. Oh, we had him in the final. We had him winning, as a matter of fact. So it's hard to all these things going on. I've got to, like I said, I've got to step away. It's like I say with when I golf. When I start overthinking things, it's time to take a break.
Yep.
Mhm.
And step back
Find the
for
cart
a
girl.
few weeks. Exactly. And then go back when my head is clear, because I'm just thinking way too much now. So that's what we're going to go with here. That I'm overthinking things way too much. Now, Elon, you had a good problem this weekend, an overload.
Yes.
On the picking side of things.
It ultimately turned out we made lemonade out of lemons, but at about 8:50, the leaderboard's updating as people are putting your picks in. So it's dynamic leaderboard.
Yeah.
And basically our programming was updating the leaderboard as a lot of people were filling out their brackets, because that Bristol was on its way to being a record event. And the programming, the two processes just kind of collided and got hung up. So then instead of everything like recycling, it just kind of stacked on top of itself.
Mm.
And then you had all this data just not moving forward, just building until it just overloaded our servers. And we have, not to get too in the weeds, but we have a lot of server space. We have way more server space than we're using on a regular basis.
Right.
So essentially what we had to do is we had to shut down the leaderboard to reboot. And that just took some time. And by the time it reset, it was literally 10:07 Eastern.
Dang.
So, we alerted people, and it's very funny how people operate in the world, because they were initially very frustrated. They couldn't get their brackets in, and we're hearing about it on social media, and we're trying to be reactive and letting people know, and like, hey, we're really sorry. We just had a lot of traffic. This is kind of a growing pains kind of deal. We're working on it. Hey, we fixed the problem. And then it was like calm down for like 45 minutes. And then it's like people realized, wait a second, I didn't get my picks in, but a lot of other people got their picks in.
Mhm.
So now I'm like 20th overall, and I'm going to lose a whole race. I'm being robbed. The world is rising up against me. Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza is out to get me. And we had to on the fly, and at the races, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza takes a very big back seat when I'm at the races, because
Right.
I'm there to work for my clients.
Right.
But I'm on a call, and I was like, hey, here, let's just do this. I made a split-second decision. Let's just pull Thunder Valley Nationals out of the overall season. So instead of it overall total being 20 races, it's just going to be 19. So Thunder Valley Nationals will still happen as an event. We'll still have the winners, but it won't count against the season-long total. Yeah. So you won't be penalized if you didn't get your picks in. And luckily, again, we immediately communicated that, tried to respond to as many people, and that seemed to make everybody happy. So it was a great process for us to work through, but it's growing pains. And And you know, what I like is, for the most part, people, once they're communicated with, they calm down. Okay, that's fine. That seems fair. That seems equitable.
Right.
But it was a wild, it was a wild morning, but it was great. But the thing I love about Bristol is they do a Saturday night autograph session. After qualifying, they get a lot of drivers, big tent, and it starts about 30 minutes after qualifying ends, which is basically lines up perfectly with when our brackets open. So I was able to, and I have little handouts that have the QR code and decals. And I'm working on Saturdays, I'm working the Mission Foods Too Fast autograph lines. I'm making posters for the NHAR Insider podcast Alone says. I'm starting to do that. But I'm just kind of where I know people are waiting. While they're waiting, here's the QR code. Well, Saturday night was perfect because I was able to go down the line and say, hey, while you're waiting in line, scan this QR code. The brackets are open right now. So that was like, it's not a Saturday morning, right. Hey, this is a really cool game. Scan this QR code and then fill out your bracket in 8 hours.
Yeah.
It was, hey, scan this QR code, and while you're waiting in line, you can fill out your brackets immediately. So that's this secret sauce. I'm trying to find more opportunities for that immediacy.
Yeah.
So, but it was a banger weekend for us, and it was great. And, you know, the drivers are getting behind it. We're about to make some we'll have a new sponsor for the Virginia race. So there'll be extra prizes in addition to the plaques that I'll tease it with. If you're a carnivore, it'll be right in your wheelhouse.
Oh.
I'm going to say carnivore, Virginia. It's going to be awesome. And then Summit is stepping up for the Summit Nationals. They gave us gift certificates. So we're going to have extra gift certificates for the top 3 finishers overall in all 4 categories from Summit. And I think they're going to do some extra stuff. So things are kind of coming together. So my next big deal is, Dude, you and I have talked about, different things, but we will have the NHRA as a fast digital channel. If you guys are aware, like on Roku and Samsung TV, it's the free digital channel. You can just search NHRA. We will have a Drag Race Bracket Bonanza breakdown show starting at Indy for the countdown.
Wow.
We will, at the end of Sunday, recap the brackets on the track. It'll be live to tape. So we'll film it Sunday night on the track, like post Super Bowl. It's going to be the most chaotic show. And then I'm hoping to have it on the Fast channel by Tuesday night. So every Tuesday. So I'm hoping to package the countdown and this TV show for like a universal sponsor. So if there's anybody out there that wants to get involved, hit me up, because that's going to be email interaction, on-track interaction, and a TV show. So
I love it.
It's going to be crazy.
The signs remind me we're getting real close now. I'm going to need all of you guys who support our sponsor here to get more creative with those Drag Race Bracket Bonanza signs. I need to see WWE-like signs out there in walking the pits, in the stands. We need it.
My goal is to have that show be like College Game Day. And it was at Epping. It was really cool. And I have a deal where if you make the sign and then during the race you get your picture with the driver with a sign and put it on your social media, we send prizes. So we're constantly trying to feed that beast of and fans got their pictures with Tony Stewart and Schumacher and stuff. Yeah, I mean that's the whole deal. So they're produced. Let me see. I think I actually have one of them behind me, maybe. But they're like basically one of them is vertical. It has the blank space and it says blank is my Drag Race Bracket Bonanza pick. So you can just write your driver's name in there. Yeah. And then there's some that are blank that just have our website across the top of them. So, and we provide the markers and the table. So people are waiting in line.
That makes it easy.
Try to make it totally easy. It drives the NHRA guys crazy in a good way, because I'm constantly pushing the boundaries of what's going on. But it's like they like it, but it's also, and I try to communicate with them. They've been super supportive, but it's been nuts. Just kind of being creative and trying to get it out there. Because for me, y'all support when you talk about it on your podcast is huge, but I just need more megaphones, and I need to figure out a way to capture the people at the races.
Yeah.
That's my core customer, my core player, getting them to understand it. And it's been cool to be able to say anybody can play with your family. Your kids are 8 years old, they're doing NASCAR leagues or whatever. Hey, here's the drag racing alternative. Just dragracebracketbonanza.com. It's free.
Super easy.
And it's funny because we bang the drums of pick your drivers, win cool prizes. And I had 2 guys that I reached out to get their addresses, and their response was, man, I didn't even know I could win anything.
Yeah. I mean, come on, guys. I'll throw this up here. It's embarrassing, but we're going to do it. Here is what we're doing right here in the NotBland Show League.
Yeah, love it.
Dave W was in the lead for everything for the Thunder Valley Nationals, followed by Frederick JN. We have the Nitro Performance guy in third. Lonnie beat me out, and I'm sitting at the bottom as usual lately.
I think if someone creates a technical alliance with Dave W., that's the way to go. Dive into dragracereference.com, and that is legit. What he's doing is, for Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, it's kind of cool. But I'll tell you right now, if you're going to start getting involved with the Play NHRA action, you need to have Dave W's site on speed dial, because it is only getting better. He's bringing up stats. They brought up a stat about the fact that Chevy hasn't won at Bristol since like 2001 or something. And yeah, he does. He definitely knows his stuff. And but I was involved in that, and it had never clicked with me. And I was like, no. And then I was like, well, Caps has won like 7 times, and Hagen's won, and Task has won. I was like, God dang, that's crazy. Yeah, but that's the kind of stuff that, and it gets a little bit of, when you see stats like that, it's like a roulette table. Eventually, it can't keep hitting red all the time.
Yeah.
Eventually, it's going to have to go. It's going to have to hit on black.
Yeah, exactly. All that stuff's legal. He's funded it all. Lonnie, you already know the deal. Things should be installed per manufacturer. You already know the deal, man. Of course you're disqualified.
So crazy. And that's the thing that, the next hurdle Drag Race Bracket Bonanza has on our horizon, where we talk about troubleshooting things, will be, we talked about how will we react when or if the brackets come out on Saturday night, and we have a system with NHRA where we get the official qualifying order, and then I even kind of wait a little bit, but there's a chance that the day will come when they say so-and-so is number 5 qualifier, but then after a technical inspection or something, his number 5 qualifying run gets tossed out, and he actually falls to number 11 qualifier, and that reshuffles the whole bracket. And how we'll handle that, which would probably be very similar to what we did, but that stuff you have to think about, is because there's things that can happen in our sport that trickle down to other things.
Yeah, like all of a sudden you just show up to the line and you decide that you're not going to run because you're broke. Nobody knows why you're broke.
Yeah, we ran into it last year with Angie Smith coming back.
Yes.
That how we're fielding questions is so funny. Drag Race Bracket Bonanza is fielding questions about, is Angie going to run? Is she not going to run? And I'm like, I just went to Matt and Angie, was like, hey, I got people that they want to know how to fill out their brackets. Right. And they were super cool about it. They're like, this is what we're going to do. she's going to take the tree and just not do anything stupid. And we were able to say she's going to, make the run.
Yeah.
So we never thought it would be a news source. We just thought it would be a fun little bracket game.
Right. It's
all inclusive services.
Yeah. It's been really cool. So to look at the season that we've been in here, a lot of different winners. We've had a few people back, get a second win in this season.
Mm-hmm.
But in this first half of the season, it's been very unpredictable.
Yeah.
And the people that we thought would really be the front runners are having a tough time.
Yeah.
I thought Antron Brown would be a little further than where they are. You look at Brittany Force and that thing there. And when I look at Ron Capps, I'm telling you right now, I said it in week 4. I felt like they were doing something to progress. They're working on something.
Yes.
So they're taking a few steps back to they're hanging around where they need to hang around. Mm-hmm. And in the second half of this regular season, I think we're going to start to see progress from that car. And I think Matt Hagan's doing the exact same thing. I think they're working on something. I don't think that his team is making any type of trip ups. These things are calculated. They're looking ahead of coming into the countdown with momentum, not falling flat on your face the last 3 or 4 races and stumbling into the countdown. That usually doesn't, bode well for guys. Ask Bob Tasca.
Yeah. Well, here's another guy that I'm waiting to just start checking off wins, and that's Steve Torrance. That's a guy that just has been kind of not up to, he set the bar so high that now when he's not doing well, and he answered so many questions last year. What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong? And then he's in the championship hunt. But again, he hasn't been a factor on race day a lot of times. And that's, again, just the volatility of this series,
Yeah.
Nature abhors a vacuum, and he stepped out of it, and the Colettas stepped right into it. Brittany Force stepped out of it. Justin Ashley is doing his usual deal of he's either winning or not doing well. Tony Schumacher's the same way. They made the stat, talk about it. If he gets out of the first round, he goes to the final round. That's how Justin was last year. And that just shows you how critical these first round matchups are.
Yeah.
Indeed. Kyra, Alexis DeJoria has a great car.
Okay.
Right now.
Mm-hmm.
And really has been consistent, but there's something that she needs to improve. Reaction times.
No.
Yeah.
It's
a killer every time.
Killer. There's a lot of times she's had a really good car, and really a car to beat.
Oh yeah.
And the reaction times have not been there. From your vantage point, though, and I'll just throw it to the ladies. Which lady is on her way to breaking through here when we get to this second half of the regular season?
Man. I mean, here's the thing. We know that they can all be good because they all are really, obviously they're really good at what they do, but their teams, their crew chiefs, there's such a big brain trust behind all of them. I think if we want to go based on history, I think Brittany would probably be first, but I think Alexis is a driver who, as the season goes on, you see her kind of fall into those patterns and like be more competitive. So the second half and the countdown, I think, is a chance for her to shine.
I like that.
Yeah. Give me Gianna Salinas or Angie Smith. I think those two ladies And also, I think Jasmine Salinas.
Yes,
They can
another
get-
one.
They can get
Great
that
car, bad reaction times.
Yeah, and she's just learning. I mean, she's, I think their plan for her got completely turned over when Mike had his situation.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the mental hurdle, like, she's thinking, okay, I'll be able to kind of take my time. And, I don't know what her schedule was, if she was going to start the season or kind of, maybe test on Monday for a couple races and get comfortable. And the next thing you know, you find out 48 hours before a race, oh no, you're going to have to race for real. And I think that takes a toll on anyone mentally.
Oh, definitely.
And she's been a champ. She's I'm looking forward to later tonight. She's going to be on Power Hour. And I think you guys are going to get a good chance to get the inside scoop on kind of where her head's at. But that she's another one that, again, great car, just needs seat time.
Yeah. She's done some really cool things. Like, hole's been out. It's gotten a little squirrely, and she's done an excellent job of keeping the car in the lane, not tagging any walls, and definitely not crossing your opponent.
Yeah.
I for the short time she's been in the car, that's not easy.
No, not at all. Especially those dragsters, because they, when they get out of your control or start getting out of your control, they're really hard to get back.
Yeah.
So,
And I don't think people realize that with dragsters. They think it's a point and shoot to a degree until it does something you don't want it to do.
Until you got to drive it, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah. This is a good question from Lonnie. Kyra, do you see a day when we have female crew chiefs? I was hoping Kaylin would have stuck around and become the first one.
I think definitely. I mean, we've kind of seen these things develop in other series a little bit on some levels, but I mean, there was back in the day, Kim and Tim Richards, they were like together, and I think it's definitely a possibility. There's females in every level of drag racing, so why not?
Yeah.
And really, I think, probably that question could be full-time female crew chiefs, because Travis Shoemake has Gerda, June making the tuning decisions on his car. But yeah, you see women working on the crews. There's no reason they couldn't. It's just a matter of somebody giving them a shot. I think at one time Ashley Force was really talking about it and was interested in potentially having an all-female crew.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been awesome.
It would,
I'm here for it.
Yeah, that would have been huge.
Sure. That would have been awesome.
And so I think that there will come a day when someone will do that. And I think that, there's enough women out there that you could put a crew together, because you could take Jonna Dunn, Marla O'Quinn is out there. I see the handful of women out there tearing it up underneath cars. And I think I'm still the worst after 30 years. I still don't really know how crews work. It's just orchestrated chaos.
Yeah.
But I truly think that there are enough women with experience in the different positions that you could pull them together with Gerda, and have a full crew, for a car.
Yeah. That would be the way that I would go. And here's why. So if I were to need an agent, I'm going to have a woman be my agent. And I think if I was a driver, I would probably do the same thing. Reason being, it's exactly why I had the co-host that I had in Karita Parks when I did the breakdown. They see things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And we're one track. I like a lot of stats. There's a lot of mechanical things going, but they broaden and see things that are from a different angle, I should say.
Right.
And I like that. and I've seen it too many times. I study a lot of women journalists, and to see how they go about their business, and their angles are always different, and it's always something that puts some meat on the bone, so to speak.
Yep.
And I don't think you can deny any of it. I think you probably would have a pretty hell of a crew full of women, and the execution would be superb.
Yeah.
I mean, I think it's very possible that we could see something probably soon down in the Lucas Oil ranks. I mean, look at Maddie and Macy Gordon. Like,
yeah,
if anyone was going to do it, it would be them.
100%. Yeah, you're right. And I think you're now. I think it's really a cool time, and it's unfortunate that light's being shown on women's sports now. Like, we've just discovered fire.
Yeah.
When it's been going on, and like in Drag Race, I'm still waiting for people to be like, oh, well, Caitlin Clark's doing all this, or the WNBA is doing all this, or the Olympics are going to come up, and there's going to be all these stories about women athletes and blah blah blah. And I'm like, racing, particularly drag racing, we've had women kicking ass. I mean, they just made Shirley the first female into the Thunder Valley Legends. There's, you're going to start seeing a rush of women going into the Drag Racing Hall of Fame and the Motorsports Hall of Fame, just because they're going to become, eligible.
And I'll say in my LeBron James, it's about damn time.
Right. Yeah. I mean, but the thing for us is, and I like that, one of the things that I loved about the new 2024 iteration of Drag Race Bracket Bonanza is we've added more photos. So now people that don't know anything about the sport can make their pick based on, hey, I want to pick all the women. I want to pick, people with crazy hair. I want to, I'm kind of a husky hugger. You know what? I'm going to pick Buddy Hull versus, some scrawny, Cameron Frey looking guy.
Yeah.
So giving people those random options to make picks, I think makes it more accessible. You want to make the tent bigger and encourage people to, come in and just try it. And like you said, Dujane, you don't have to know anything. Just make picks.
Yeah. I mean, it's that easy. I mean, my wife made picks. She's like, I don't know any of these people. So
yeah. Look at their uniforms, go to the stats page and, pick them up and be like, you know what? I know a guy from Charlotte. Oh, this guy's a Sagittarius. I'm a Sagittarius. Whatever. Their birth dates are on there. Their hometowns are on there. You got pictures. Right. Sponsors. I lost an NFL Pick'em series to one of my friend's daughters who was in high school because she literally just kept picking all the guys with good hair and good smiles, and it was friggin' the year Joe Burrow was setting the NFL on fire. And she just kept picking, Joe Burrow and all these guys. Well, what's your pick? Well, he's got good hair and, he's got a good smile. Okay.
That's how my co-host picks us. So, I get it. I've been on the losing end of that every single time.
Yeah.
So,
appreciate you from England as well, man. And I think, look, Travis Shoemake deserves a full-time sponsor. Yeah. I think he's done more than enough to prove himself.
Sure.
I really wish, and I'll pose this question real quick too. What I don't like though, and I understand it's about, you got to be careful about what you have as far as parts go, and you don't want to burn stuff up. But I don't like when low budget teams take the hero session and decide to sit it out.
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
This is a time that you could probably take advantage of it and likely bump yourself into the field. If you're going to take anyone off, take the first one off. It's hot.
Right.
Yeah.
Don't green racetrack. Like, just go out there at a night session, go A to B. You likely run a really decent number.
Yep.
And get yourself into the field. I hate when they take off in the prime time session.
Yeah. And I think some of them it is because they, in order to make a quality run in those killer conditions, you have to just throw so much power at the track.
Yeah.
And they may not, for them to do that, that may ruin more of their stuff. But
I can see that point.
But I also, think you want to, give yourself the best chance to make a killer run. Look at Drag Race Bracket Bonanza.
Look at these stats.
With the stat monster there.
We love it.
Yep.
That is awesome.
So that is true. So the Drag Race Bracket Bonanza team is, a lot of women behind the scenes making us all go, from graphic design to marketing and social media, and have any good idea you see on social media came from Abby or Peyton. So, I will occasionally grab some pictures of some posts that I see that are college football or NFL stuff, but they're bringing the, Abby ran across the, I don't know if you saw, Kyra, you played Drag Race Bracket Bonanza Connections.
Yeah.
So Abby saw that and was like, oh, we need to do that. And
I thought it was a great idea.
Yeah. So things like that. And they came up last year. We did the whole Spotify, kind of play on your Spotify playlist at the end of the year. So they're coming up with ideas like that. So when we're off air, I will tell you guys about a unique Drag Race Bracket Bonanza idea I have for the off season.
Oh, I love it. I love it.
We'll bring that up at a later date, maybe later in the season when we're getting closer to the end. But I would be interested to have you guys participate in the behind the scenes stuff with this particular idea.
My sponsor, you got a stat for that? You throw out all these
guys
stats.
Versus girls. I'll be honest. I think it probably falls down pretty close to standard NHRA lines, which is probably 65% male, 35% women. Because we have a lot of families playing. We have just a lot of, and I do think there are some all-female leagues just kind of based on their league names. And we just went over 200 leagues this week. So that to me that was one of the biggest things people asked for in the off season was we'd like to be able to do leagues, and they are just feeding into that, so mightily, which is great.
It is.
No, my guys have been loving it. They're so happy they joined because I'm running giveaways too, because they're all like, we suck, we're never going to win in the main league. And I was like, you know what? We can have giveaways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome stuff. Man, what a great time. I appreciate everyone who has tuned in today. Again, this show doesn't happen without you guys. And thank you so much for taking the time to tune into this show. And hopefully you learned something. Again, I'm going to say it. This is the best game out right now, guys. Come on, man. Like, it's so easy. Just go over to dragracebracketbonanza.com, sign up, create your own league if you want, or you can join ours, and you can be a part of the rest of the crew that's kicking my behind in the league. You get free prizes, and if you make it to the race, you get to act like you're in the WWE, only in the NHRA, and have signs in the stands walking around the pits. You might even get a picture snapped of you. And there's prizes with that. Like, where they do that at, man? Come on. Look, let's get in the game. Get off that bench. Again, I'm Dujane Bland. This has been the NotBland Show, sponsored by Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. Man, next Tuesday it's going to be fun. We got Joe Morris in the building. So tune in, be ready. Lock it in. Good night, everybody.